Captain America Brave New World is the fourth Captain America movie. Now following Sam Wilson as our current Captain America, we'll follow him in this political thriller trying to figure out who is causing mayhem in Washington, D.C. And that's all pretty much not any spoilers to you guys. This will be a spoiler-free review. When the movie is finally released, we will have to dive into spoilers. But okay, with Captain America Brave New World, I am kind of impressed we have gotten this far into the MCU. We had a really great run of Chris Evans as Steve Rogers playing Captain America. Really adore that trilogy and what that character was, and now to see it being handed off to Sam Wilson, I think is equally exciting. I was even somebody who was super fond of the Falcon and Winter Soldier series on Disney Plus. I know some people are mixed on it, but I really thought that was one of the better Disney Plus shows Marvel has put out. But a lot of us have been following the news leading up to Captain America Brave New World. Tons of different reshoots, things being added on, taken away, rumors of an inflated budget, test screenings that didn't go great, and seeing all these Hulk villains returning in a non-Hulk centered movie, it was honestly starting to give me pause on this movie and really kind of tame my expectations for what to expect. But having now sat down, watched the movie, I'm gonna say it is enjoyable, but it is a little far from great. I'm gonna get into the good and then I'm gonna get into the bad with this movie. Starting off, really appreciated the much more serious tone. Ever since we got the movie Captain America Winter Soldier, I think there have been fans begging for that kind of tone and vibe to return. And you can very much feel Brave New World tries to emulate Winter Soldier vibes. The MCU humor is at a minimum, you still get it here and there, but for the most part, the movie keeps it pretty serious, and once the plot starts kicking in, you are intrigued to see Sam Wilson try and figure out what's going on. And heck, Sam Wilson himself, Anthony Mackie, I think he's charismatic. He's a different Captain America than Steve Rogers, obviously, but what he brings to the role, I really enjoyed. I know there's still a large debate online whether he should even be Captain America. Should he take the serum? The guy needs superpowers. And the movie does things to actually address that and his hesitancy with wanting to take the serum. And there was even this one particular action scene in the movie that he got to do that didn't include his suit that has all this high-tech Wakanda gear on it, and I really appreciated they gave us a scene where it's like, how capable is he without the suit? And I thought that was a pretty great scene. Along with Anthony Mackie, I thought there was a couple of supporting characters that really elevated the movie. His relationship with Joaquin Torres, the new Falcon, I thought really worked. They give him more of the comedic role. He's got all this energy, is excited to just be part of any mission with Captain America. And so I found him to be a fun character, but kind of the highlight and the relationship I liked the most was that of Sam Wilson and Isaiah Bradley. Carl Lumbly returns in the role after being introduced in the Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I will say that is pretty much required viewing going into this movie. I think if you didn't, you're just gonna miss out a lot on this character and his kind of importance in the movie. But you saw in the trailers, something happens where he gets manipulated into trying to take down the president. And out of everything going on in the movie, whether it was this world threat or the appearance of adamantium and countries trying to be the first one after it, the thing that hit me the most was the personal problem Sam Wilson had with Isaiah Bradley being framed for this, being sent back to prison, and what that meant to the character. That's kind of the stuff that really worked for me in this movie, because I'll say the second act or the entire middle of this movie really strong and really solid. It starts off a little rocky, a little and the third act is going to be hit or miss for a lot of people, but the very middle of this movie where it tries to keep things grounded, you're uncovering a mystery, it is pulling out as much of that Winter Soldier vibe, and that's what I really liked about the movie. But alright, moving on to the things I'm mixed to negative about, I think there's a real argument to be made that Captain America Brave New World is going to be taken a lot like The Amazing Spider-Man 2 for the MCU. And again, this is coming from somebody who actually defends and really likes Amazing Spider-Man 2, but even I can admit a movie like that has some really high standout moments and some things that really bring it down and make you wonder, how did this pass? Starting off, the fight scenes. There are moments where there are some really great action sequences with Sam Wilson. I'll mainly say the aviation scenes were the things that were really on point and that highlight the strengths of this version of Captain America. But for a lot of the other fighting in the movie, the hand-to-hand combat, the fighting of other villains, it was choppy. The editing was cut so quickly where you couldn't really enjoy the fight sequence. Some of it was a little slow and wasn't all that that well choreographed. In fact, a lot of just the hand-to-hand combat in the movie felt like it was just going through the motions in a generic action movie. And again, that kind of sucks for a series, like I said, with The Winter Soldier that had some of the strongest hand-to-hand combat of the MCU. I will admit, though, I was extremely pleased with the fight between Sam Wilson and the Red Hulk. Well, I think it's going to be a bit of a bummer for the people hoping to see a lot of Red Hulk, because he's in it as much as kind of the trailers show. That fight sequence is pretty long, and I think it gets creative on how Sam is able to last as long as he does, while also being some of the better action sequences of the film. Another thing that's really going to hold this movie back is the main villains of this movie. So, of course, you have the Red Hulk in there, but he is not the main villain throughout the course of the movie. If you've been following along with the news for Captain America Brave New World, you'll know that they're bringing back an old Hulk villain, the Leader, who was first introduced and set up all the way back in the Incredible Hulk of 2008. In fact, you could argue that this is the long-awaited sequel for the Incredible Hulk. I don't know how many people were begging for a Hulk sequel that didn't include Bruce Banner Hulk, but if you wanted to see a lot of storylines from that movie wrapped up, this is the film for it. And well, Samuel Stearns returning back, played by Tim Blake Nelson, had some strong moments, but overall is going to feel like a major disappointment for a lot of people, and it's going to make you wonder, why, after all these years, did we try to bring this character back? And I just hate how the MCU continues doing Hulk characters dirty, because I was pretty disappointed after all the years what they ended up doing when they brought back the Abomination. And here with the Leader, I'm not a huge fan of the look they went with. The overall plan and thing he's been scheming for the past, decade, pretty disappointing. And it's sad because the performance of the Leader isn't bad. Tim Blake Nelson has this real calm demeanor, and his voice has a thick bass to it that actually gives him some weight, and I'm like, this could have been a really cool character, and he feels almost wasted in this movie. Sadly, there's also going to be plenty of moments throughout the film that you're going to obviously tell were the reshoot scenes, and you'll be able to know because it'll go from feeling like an actual movie to Sam Wilson just standing in front of a green screen, and it happens in some very pivotal emotional moments. It just completely takes you out when the movie has that downgraded feel, like this was reshot in front of a green screen on a random Tuesday and they just inserted it into the movie. Pair that up with other characters that felt just kind of forgettable or irreplaceable in the movie, whether it's Giancarlo Esposito's character or this Ruth character that's a retired Black Widow working for the White House. You could have honestly have just taken her out of the movie and really have not made a difference. And again, I want to emphasize, I don't think this movie is a train wreck or as awful as it was looking to be with all the reshoots and hearings of these test screenings, but it is another instance of Marvel just putting out an okay movie. And just an okay, barely alright film is sometimes just so boring and disappointing in a universe that used to be so much more exciting. I think there's definitely going to be enough people that get all the enjoyment and fun out of this film, especially if you were someone that was looking forward to Sam Wilson's Captain America, because I honestly was kind of happy seeing him hold the shield and what he was able to accomplish in this film. I just think the man deserved a better movie than this. But thankfully, like I said, I don't think this is one of Marvel's worst, but it is far from one of their best. So when it comes to Captain America Brave New World, I'm gonna give action a 3.5 stars. There's some standout moments in the action sequences and times where it feels like this is really well shot, and then the rest of it just feels like very generic punching. Comedy in the movie, I'm gonna give it 2.5 stars. Really appreciated them toning down the MCU humor, not inserting a joke every other line. Drama in the movie, I'm gonna give it 3 stars. I kind of wanted a lot more from this story. It has times where it feels like the plot is kicking in, I'm intrigued to what's going on, and at the end of it all, it just kind of feels very anticlimactic. Horror in the movie, I'll give 1 star to, and that's mainly for the look of the Leader. Bro's pretty horrifying to look at. And suspense in the movie, I'm gonna give it 2.5 stars. I think a lot of the movie just kind of goes through the motions, so with that, you're just not kind of on the edge of your seat as you would like. Casual moviegoers, I'm gonna give this a B-. Cinephiles, I'm gonna give it a C+, and critically, I'm going to give it a C+. For Captain America Brave New World, I think it is riding right on the line of just being a passably enjoyable MCU movie that could be enjoyed in theaters. Again, that's just my opinion on the movie, guys. I wanted to walk out loving this movie, and I ended up just kind of liking it. There's a lot more things I want to dive into about this movie that I'll have to wait for spoilers. There is one post-credit scene at the very end of the movie. It definitely teases something, but like I said, we'll get into it in spoilers. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.